Okay, so some of you are probably wondering how I got all these cool and interesting shots. Well, I got it with this thing right here. This is the Manfrotto Magic Arm with the Manfrotto clamp. It also comes with the camera platform. Great thing about this clamp is that you can open it up really wide and then close it to whatever you need it to, so that way you can attach this to a whole variety of different objects. So yeah, you get the thing attached right here. And then you loosen this wheel right here, and it doesn't just loosen this, it loosens this right here, and then this right here. Now, when you're adjusting something like this, you need to watch out for the ball right here. If you want it to go left or right, it can't go all the way, so you have to move this piece right here so that way you can now go all the way down. So, if this was like this, it would get stuck, and then I have to twist it, and now it goes down all the way. So let's get a camera attached to this. This is the SL2. So now I'm going to show you the versatility of this. So we loosen this after this is attached. Grab this, want it, place it about right there, tighten it back up. And look here, and then it's pretty stable. For the rest of the video, I'm going to show you how I got all these different shots. For the very first shot, I attached the clamp to my bathroom sliding door. The sliding door handle was a bit wobbly, so I had to make sure it didn't like break or anything. When I attached the camera and then I'd place it and then I would tighten the arm, the weight of the camera was just weighing it down a little bit to where I would have to readjust it every single time. And that was a little bit frustrating, but eventually I got a shot like this. The next idea I had was to attach this camera to my mirror and then have it to where the composition starts off with me in the left frame, and then as I close it, it reveals me to the right of frame. When I first attached the camera, I attached the clamp too high to where if I wanted to film myself, I'd have to make the camera upside down. I got the shot a few times. The first time I filmed it, I was using the Tokina 11-16, and at 16 millimeters it wasn't long enough, so I had to go all the way to 11, which introduces a little bit of vignetting with that lens. Next thing I did was I fooled around with both of my mirrors. My mirrors can fold, and you can get these really cool multiple reflection type things that I thought was pretty interesting. Next thing we moved on to was the refrigerator. What I really liked about this shot was that it kind of tells a story. I wanted to explore how this tool could be used in a narrative function. From the framing of the shot, you can tell that we're having an argument. We're at two different sides of the frame, and then it ends where neither one of us is in the frame, showing that we have had an argument and that things have been resolved, but not resolved too well. Now I think the shot with the 2x4 actually looks the best, but when I was attaching the 2x4, I wanted to angle the camera to where the Tokina lens was resting on the 2x4. So that way the weight was being transferred to the wood and not onto the clamp, which would probably weigh this down to where as he's walking, you would see it slowly slip and then would ruin your composition. So first we tried it behind the head, and then I told Chris to switch it up, and then we got the front of the head. I then had a spur of the moment where I realized, oh, wouldn't it be cool if like he picked it up and then we see his face and then he's walking around? When you attach a big black magic with a Tokina lens, the 2x4 becomes really front heavy. So as Chris is picking this up, I'm lifting the camera with him. And then as he's walking, I'm also walking with him, making sure that the black magic isn't slipping down, or making sure that Chris isn't having to like carry this really awkward thing. But yeah, really cool shots. I especially like the part where Chris walks by these extension cords and he has to dodge them and then he looks back at them. In that shot, we can see what he's reacting to, and then we see him reacting to it. So as an editor, those little like flourishes with like bits of action and reaction, it's a lot more interesting than just him walking with 2x4. The next thing we decided to do was attach this to the bikes. When we attached it to the bike, our dad's bike wasn't working. I first tried to ride it. I couldn't ride it. I wanted to see if Chris could ride it, and we couldn't even get this thing up the hill. When we took this to the bike shop a week before, they told us that it had a lot of problems anyways, and that we couldn't use it. And I thought we could use it. I thought they were exaggerating, but it had a lot of problems. I decided to use my mom's bike. I thought it'd be really interesting to get a shot of like, we see the tires and we see the the pedals. So when I attached this to my mom's bike, we attached the clamp to the metal bar. Now I was able to push the bike up the hill and get a test shot with the Blackmagic camera. It's a little shaky, but it does look pretty interesting. But on the way down, we ran into a problem. So because this thing was so shaky, the momentum that's being transferred onto the camera is now weighing down and forcing the camera down. So the clamp was going into the tire. At this point, it was just too sketchy for us to take this bike down the road. Now, this was when Chris got the bright idea for us to use the wheelbarrow. Now, the wheelbarrow was really interesting because I could attach it at different points. So in one of the shots, we can actually see the inside of the wheelbarrow. So we see the ground moving, and then we see the wheelbarrow getting filled up over time. So again, from a narrative point of view, we're telling a story, you know. Starts out empty, then gets full, basic stuff. The coolest shot was when I had the camera attached to the front of it, and then I pick it up, and then I'm rotating with it. So the whole background is moving to the left while I'm staying stationary in the middle. Now, as great and as experimental and as cool as this Magic Arm is, we ran into some pretty consistent problems. The Blackmagic, I think, is too heavy for this camera. On the Amazon webpage, it says that this thing is able to support up to like 10 pounds of weight. My camera, with the lens and with the cage, it weighs about 4 pounds. But then once I took the cage off and the accessories and I switched to a lighter lens, it was still weighing 2.5 pounds. Even when I took off all the stuff, it was still a little too heavy. I think the real problem is that I'm attaching to things that are moving. The reason I would buy something like this is to attach to really weird and awkward things. I think something like this is really great for a camera that's really lightweight. So something like this, you know, it's really easy to like take this and move around. But with this Blackmagic camera that's heavier, it's a little harder to like move this exactly where you want. And then every time I would drop it, it would then weigh down just a little bit. So I drop it and then it would like go down the smallest bit, which was really frustrating because I'd have to re-raise it and then it would go down again. When we used it on the shower door, it would slip. When we used it on the kitchen door, as much as I tightened this, it was still slipping even with the friction of the material on the inside of this clamp right here. And then when I attached it to the bike, it slipped. When I attached it to the wheelbarrow, the metal that makes up the wheelbarrow is thin. When I was moving the wheelbarrow on uneven ground, it was getting bumpy, and all the bumpiness got transferred to the camera. And when this heavy camera is going up and down, all this weight is being transferred to everything else. So you get a situation where this is happening and then your shot is getting messed up over time. That's a big consideration you have to take. Whereas with a smaller camera, there isn't as much momentum, so it's not forcing this bit right here out of place. When I was using this, I'd have a lot of trouble with the clamp slipping, or I'd have a lot of trouble with the weight of this making it to where this ball right here would slip as well. So yeah, those are considerations you have to take. Now, in my opinion, I think that most filmmakers should still have something like this. It's not just used for placing your camera wherever you want. You can put a light on this, you can put diffusion on this. If you have a camera and you need to rig it in a really odd spot and you have to do it quickly, then yeah, this is a great thing to have. Now, if you need something that's a little bit sturdier or more permanent, you should probably get more of these. If you buy multiple Magic Arms and then you use a second Magic Arm just to attach to the first one as another form of stability, then yeah, I think that would carry more weight. Now, there are other tools for attaching a camera to different objects, but I really wanted this to be my go-to. Every weird shot I want, I'll just go to this. And I think that depending on what I'm attaching to, I'm gonna have to use different things, which isn't a bad thing. I think what's gonna help me is just buying a second one, or I have safety chains to attach my camera to something as like a backup. I would still recommend this to filmmakers. Thank you for watching. What's your favorite thing to attach a camera to? And also, if you know of anything that's like better than this for like attaching a small camera to whatever you want, then let me know in the comments. Thank you. Goodbye. Goodbye.